hey, it's John Shapiro, here we go. Knows the road rules better than most folks know. Ask your questions, bring the heat or keep it chill. He's got the answers and a license to spill. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you want to hear. Former badge, now a podcast star. Navigating traffic laws near and far. Stop sign confusions or a signal light feud. Sean's the one to give you the right attitude. Yeah! Ask your traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you want to hear. From this man. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know. It felt like going with yeah. It felt like it was right. Hope you're doing well. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And today we're doing just that. I talked to you about, well, whatever you want to talk about. And at 10:20 instead of 10:35, we'll be joined by Jerry Agar on NewsTalk 1010. We'll be taking calls from his audience out in Radio Land. And text, because, well, text, I guess it's text and telephone to ask him questions, but he's broadcasting, which means we're broadcasting over the radio. It's going to be very exciting. It always is. If you're having difficulties, because I see that the chat's not loading on YouTube, the integrated chat is having some issues on Restream, and that's okay. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to send a little support ticket. Customer support. Something's not happening. Okay. If you've got questions, TikTok should be working. Let's see. And if you're watching on TikTok and you're like, who is this guy? I used to be a cop in Toronto, and then I left to be here on the internet with you, kind of, sort of. And what I do is I answer questions. It's a pretty awesome thing. So if you got them, drop them into the questions, into the stuff and things. Now, I should also monitor. Let me just set this up, because as much as I like to make this look like it's easy peasy lemon squeezy, it doesn't always work, as you can see. I'm going to open up another window and see if I can get the YouTube chat. I see Wayne, who says, morning, Sean, and Julie Massey, good morning to you. Okay, I guess we're going to do multiple windows, and I'll just keep switching them. That's okay. We can roll with the punches. I got my Instagram up. I got my YouTube up now. I just got to shrink it a little bit. I don't need to see a big me. I am a big me already. Who's having fun with Sora 2? That is the question, because I am having crazy fun with Sora 2. I have been making videos non-freaking stop. Like, quite literally. Way too much fun. I have been creating videos to the point where it says, hey, you've had enough. Take a break. Like, and half of them I post. If you go to VoiceOver Cop on Sora 2, you can follow me there. And it's weird because it's a social media platform that's entirely not me, even though it represents a likeness in my ideas. It's not me physically speaking to a camera. So if you've got Sora accounts and you want me to follow you back, let me know. I'm happy to do it. Follow me there. I'll follow you back. Just because I love seeing what people are creating. I think it's awesome. Brandon, good morning to you. He says, all the way from Key West, beautiful day for a drive. Hope you're all having an amazing day. Amazing days being had by everyone. Yes. What is this? Please leave a message here. Yeah, we're going to say that the chat isn't working. It is not working. I just finished my Duolingo conversation my Duolingo. I'm a 19, a Duolingo 19 now, which is really, really rudimentary, but I am thoroughly enjoying it. Oh, interesting. Maybe the chat's working now. I don't know. It seems to be working here. Just gonna type a test message. Testing. Let's see if anyone can see that. Send. No. To activate chat and enable channels, press here. This is so weird. But it is enabled. So something's definitely amiss. Okay. Chat no working. That message is there. Cool. Moving along. If you are interested to know about whatever you want to know about, because we talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, which is awesome. And I see that we have a question, hypothetical question. Hypothetically, if you see a motorcycle with no license plate, are you chasing? Very rarely would a police chase be the best course of action. It is tactical following, strategic. Wait until they make a stop. There's no reason to chase when you could easily share a description of the vehicle, and when they stop at an intersection, someone just pulls the key out. Yeah. I mean, I've seen videos of coppers tackling motorcyclists. I think that's the better way to go. I absolutely think that's the better way to go. Yeah, we don't want people to run. Making them go faster is counterproductive. The goal is to stop them, and that's not what's happening if they are running away because of their lack of license plate. Keep chasing this. It's already suggesting that the person's a criminal if they're going to run, and that's what you are if you run, right? So the appropriate action should be taken against those who put others' lives at risk. Okay. We got here, painful for everyone behind me. That's Rube Robot. I don't know what, because that's the first message you left, so I don't know what the context. There is no context. Someone sent me an interactive message on tech support. Stand by. Record screen. Why? Why do you want me to record the screen? Okay, we're going to record the screen. Stand by. We're doing this. We're doing that. Recording screen. There's no word key. Here we go. Oh, I really hope this doesn't break anything. Start recording. Second here, we're going to give it authority to and then cancel this. Deny. This is too much work. Okay, deny, cancel, stop it. I'm going to break stuff, and then the live stream is going to say I broke it, and then I'll be upset. So it's kind of silly that it wants me to record things. Okay, we're going to keep moving on. This computer might be already configured for it. It is. Sorry, guys. I feel like this is such an interruption because it is an interruption. This is Chrome tab live. Here we go. Sharing that. Okay. And gonna put this away. Cool. Back to your squirrel. Okay. We got commentary. So of the Decepticons Forever says, "Hey Sean, the Blue Thunder video was good. Respect my authority." Yeah, I've got some. I put it on the. If you don't have a Sora account because it's by invitation only right now, you cannot see the videos I posted on my X account as well. Just saying. Okay, going on. Where were we? We got that. We got this. All right, going back to reality. Greg Marshall wants to know what my opinion is on Ford banning traffic enforcement, automated traffic enforcement. I think it's pathetic. I think it's wrong. I think it's not what we need. If he wanted to add speed bumps and signs, he could have done that without removing the automated speed enforcement. And by his own allegation or suggestion that he can fix traffic with signs, flashing lights, and speed bumps, then those cameras would stop issuing tickets, wouldn't they? Because he would have solved the problem. And based on proof of him being able to stop speeders, the cameras would become redundant. They could just be left on and they'd never fire a picture. They'd never take a picture. But instead, he made it illegal. And then, or I don't even know if it's even officially passed, but he's against the cameras. And once he stops enforcing speed laws, then he's going to put speed bumps in or give money so people can put speed bumps in and slow down. Why not do both? Because then it would be proof, right? But we don't want proof. No. Also, jurisdictions that have added speed bumps, humps, and other things on the road last about 10 seconds, and then people complain about those, and they back up and say, "Oh, did we put those things there and upset people? Let's take those out," because they vote. So, yeah, my opinion is that politics suck, or maybe it's politicians. Okay. Yeti says, so basically, I got 5 tickets in the same month, no license plate to change line, not in safety, no insurance. Okay. Uh, yeah, I don't see it. And for Rubejoy Robot, who says scroll up, I scrolled up. The first comment I have from you is the painful for everyone behind you. So you have to ask me again. Okay. Sorry to hear about your many, many tickets. It sounds like you did many, many things wrong. And I guess I'm not that sorry that you got tickets, because if you break the law, you deserve tickets. And you might want to get representation if you have that many tickets, because it sounds like it's going to get expensive for you. Especially the no insurance one, which carries a $5,000 to $25,000 fine. That is a no bueno. And I got that. No bueno is something I learned on Duolingo. Maybe I knew that before. Decepticons Forever says, someone tried to break into my house yesterday while I was home. It really jolted me, and I had to call the cops and file a report. No kidding. So it's funny. I actually just wrote an article because first of all, it is Prime days. It's Prime big deal days, and I'm an Amazon influencer. I figured there's another way to create income for this channel to help fund the not-for-profit I created called the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety. And see, it says Better Traffic and Safety Education Inc., but it's actually the Canadian Organization. It's a big mouthful of things to say. So, yes, I just bought a new Blink doorbell and 2 extra Blink cameras, the outdoor cameras. I already had 5. So now I have, once I install the new doorbell and the 2 extra cameras, I'll have 8 cameras in my house. I hope you have cameras. Cameras are a good thing. I'm going to post an article in the not too distant. Maybe I should just post it right now while we're here. Why not? I'm going to post it, because then if you want the links, I got links to all that stuff. Get cameras. I don't care if you buy them through the link, not through the link. If you buy Blink, you buy something else. I just like Blink because they're cheap and easy and reliable. But if you want to protect your home, get them. And I'm going to post that article right now. Where is it? I have to press a button, and the button, they make it so hard. I wish I could do this from my my phone. I would have posted it last night. Okay. Articles. This is really annoying. No. Okay, I'll do it later because this is distracting. Okay, moving along. I will post that article right after the show. And yeah, go get a camera, whether you do it through the link or not. We have a Ford Lightning 2024. Question: what's your feeling of C-242 or 242 being shot down? Is that the Jail Not Bail Reform Act, where we unscrew the entire justice system and stop putting criminals on the street? Is that what we were talking about in C-242? I just want to make sure I'm referring to the correct one. Bill C-242. I think it is, but that's It's Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. I haven't read it, so I can't comment on it. If that's what the first thing that shows up. Criminal Code and Department. So maybe it is. It says here, scrap liberal bail, pass the jail not bail. So I was right the first time, because the Conservative Party has it in English, where Parlement du Canada is not easy for me because I'm doing Duolingo Spanish, not French. Just saying. Anyway, I want jail not bail. Okay. Decepticons Forever says, I have cameras. The guy came in the afternoon and then came back in the evening. Oh, so he was casing the joint. And then Riz Vision says, what is your discretion on a crime that is just a fine versus a crime that goes straight to jail? Yeah. What is the discretion? Unless it depends on what the law is written as, because there's differences. If you have a law that says you shall arrest, then you shall arrest. And if it says you may arrest, then you may arrest. It depends. Like, what is the direction of the law? That's the question. Okay, I guess we're checking here one more time just to see, and I'm going to stop recording the second screen and stop recording. Okay, submit recording. It's going to be useless because I didn't actually try and use it. That's too funny. Okay, that's uploading. There we go. If you're watching and you're saying, who is this guy? I'm the guy on the other end of the camera, and I'm here to answer your traffic and police questions. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And at 20 minutes after, which is 4 minutes from now, I should be joined by Jerry Agar on NewsTalk 1010. And that will be awesome because we'll be taking questions from his live radio audience by text or by phone. If you'd like to call in, can I put the numbers on the screen? Let's see if I have it configured on this machine yet, because I got a new machine. I don't have it on the screen yet, but I can put this on. Oh, I do have it on the screen. There you go. 416-872-1010. You can phone or text that number. If you want to call toll free, you can dial 1-877-518-5151. That is what you can do. I got so many computers. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I got a Mac Mini, a new machine, and I just ordered a little, what is it called? It's like a hub to give me more USB. Yes. Moving down the screen. Let's see what other kind of questions we got going on from TikTok. If you're watching on TikTok, please tap the screen till your fingers go numb. It helps bring more people to the party. The more likes, the more interest is generated, apparently. And yeah, I'm not looking for you to shell out money. I mean, we take donations if you want, because it is a not-for-profit agency that's run based on monies from people like the magical folks at Diamond and Diamond Lawyers. They are contributors along with Barrett Legal. They help keep the lights on. Yeah, you wouldn't believe how expensive stuff and things is. Or are. Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay. I mean that, like, just software. The software to stream's $1,000. Yeah. And I love y'all, but it costs money to do this. So they help make sure I can continue to educate people. All we want to do. Make roads safer through education. Tickets are optional. That's when people don't figure it out. But my only way to educate or make it safer is through education, because I can't write tickets anymore. Okay. We got we got Yeti's really no license plate, no insurance, and change lanes not in safety. Sounds like a mess. Long distance cruiser says, why are car accidents not a crime? I feel like it would reduce, what is it? I have a notification that's blocking part. Reduce something. No, I got it's like, you know how sometimes the overlays make no sense? Okay. Would reduce the amount of collisions. Now, first of all, there are no accidents. Accidents suggests that ferries are responsible for collisions, and it's not. It's the driver, and that's why we call them collisions or crashes, but not accidents. And would it be a crime if we made it a crime? Would it change things? It would certainly make it interesting. Let's see here. NewsTalk 1010. Welcome to the show. You hear us?
Hello.
You do hear us. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I got no complaints except that our chat bot's not working.
Oh, no, it's one of those days, eh?
I would say it's a Monday, but it's a Wednesday. It's my Monday. It's our first day broadcasting this week, so
Yeah,
we're
it's
always,
Wednesday that feels like a Monday, for sure.
you go.
We are coming up very soon.
Awesome, and I've let people know the number in case you get a bunch of calls. It's because of us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Akela Jacona says greetings and salutations. He always wants me to say hi to Jerry Agar for him, so I just did. Well, maybe he heard, maybe he didn't. We're going to do 2 segments today, a double episode with Jerry. So we normally jump in at 10:35. Today we're jumping in at 10:20, and yeah, bring your questions. We'll talk about them. And user says, hey Sean, quick question for you. How do traffic cops go about stopping someone for something? Lights and sirens, put a hand out. It's all those magical ways of telling people to pull over. What exactly do you mean when you say what you said? Okay. I do talk to Jim Richards on occasion. I've been on the show a number of times. Okay.
This is Jerry Agar.
We don't hear Jerry, just letting you
Good morning.
know.
Let's do another edition of Ask the TikTok former traffic cop anything you want about traffic, and that would be Sean Shapiro. Good morning, Sean Shapiro.
Good morning, Jerry.
Let's go right to Joe, who called 416-872-1010. What's your question, Joe?
I've been driving around and I see people constantly with full over-the-ear headphones on while they're driving. Is that legal? Because they look like air traffic controllers. Like they're completely covered up. I don't know how they can hear anything.
So it is perfectly legal to cover your ears. It may not be the best choice. Many of those headphones have transparency mode, so you can still hear what's going on around you, but it's actually not a legal requirement to have hearing at all. You can be deaf and drive, but it's different in different provinces. So while it is legal in Ontario, British Columbia would not allow you to cover both ears.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
That was
Joe,
an easy
thanks
one.
yeah, well, this is an interesting one that was sent in by text. By the way, here are the numbers: 416-872-1010 for calls and texts, and toll free 877-518-5151, 518-5151. Somebody writes in, I was following my wife in our other car to the mechanic, but I hit her car on the way there. Do we need to report this accident?
So to make a collision reportable, it is either a damage over $5,000. It used to be $2,000. They raised it to $5,000. So if there's damage, if there's no injuries and the damage does not exceed the $5,000 mark, you don't have to report it to police and you can deal with it yourselves.
All right. So another text. Hey, Jerry. They should be actually, hey, Sean. Can an emergency vehicle with its lights flashing pass a school bus with the stop sign out?
Actually, no. Legally, they can't. They might choose to if the emergency warrants the violation of that law, because everything can be excused if nothing happens. And, the situation might be that they have to. There could be a person armed with a firearm and people's lives are at risk. But what we do ask is that when a school bus driver sees emergency vehicles, is to keep the kids in a safe place, turn the lights off, and make it legal for the police to go through.
Here's another question. Can I make a left turn on a red light to a one-way?
The rule is if you're on a one-way going to another one-way, then yes, assuming there's no sign prohibiting it and it's safe to do so. If it's a one-way to a two-way or vice versa, you cannot.
All right. We're getting a lot of questions and a lot of calls, which we're going to go to. So I'm happy that we've signed you up for 2 segments here. But this one, with new cars, especially luxury cars, they seem to be coming with front tinted windshields. Is it legal because it's a manufacturer tint?
Well, it's funny you say that. I had a real problem with when I started seeing these green tinted windshields in the Mercedes and such. You're not allowed to apply a coating. So if you put a film or a coating on aftermarket, that's prohibited. However, these seem to be baking it into the glass as part of the glass, and they're getting it approved through Transport Canada when they're bringing these cars in, or they wouldn't be able to sell them. So I'm going to say they are legal in that situation. But if you got those and then added tint to it or modified it, it would then become illegal.
Here is Ron. What's your question for Sean?
Hey guys, so I'm taking an off ramp onto a side street. At the first intersection, car pulls out right in front of me from a side street, and I yell at him, and he yells at me that I have my signal light on. I didn't realize I had my signal light on. It was quiet. The radio was on. Who would be at fault?
So I'm not following. He yelled at you for having your signal light on. What was the almost actual thing that happened?
He pulled out in front of me because he thought I was turning right because my signal light was on.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know my signal light was on because when you take an off ramp, it doesn't go, the signal light doesn't go off right away.
So, but no collision occurred, right?
No.
Okay,
collision.
so nobody's at fault for anything at this point, but had a collision occurred, ultimately they're responsible to ensure that the vehicle coming is actually doing what it says it's going to do. So your signal is not a determination of actually what's happening. It's you announcing that something might be happening. But as he found out, that was a problem, and it didn't work for him. So he would have been partially responsible, if not fully responsible. Also, there'd be no record of that signal light being activated unless there was a camera capturing it. So his claim that you were turning would really not materialize when it came to an investigation.
Huh.
All right. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it very much. Here is Ruth. Go ahead, Ruth.
Hi, I have a question. I was at a town hall meeting, and one of the policemen there said that if speed bumps were on the road, they significantly delay emergency vehicles because they have to slow to almost a full stop. Is that true? And why doesn't Premier Ford know that?
Oh, this is a good one. Absolutely. And when I testified in city council in Vaughan saying the exact same thing, trying to get them to not cancel the program, that was my entire thing. Imagine being in the back of an ambulance and being transported, needing life-saving measures, and you're waiting to go over a speed bump because going over the speed bump could actually injure you if you're in the back needing that help. So it is absolutely true that police, fire, and ambulance all have to slow down. They don't have the ability to go over those big bumps at speed. And it's going to change the way people both get to, or emergency services get to a call and leave a call. It's just not the best option.
Thanks, Ruth. Appreciate that. Here's a text message. Person writes, Sean, I have an electric scooter. I was pulled over for going over the speed limit in a school zone. And then this person says, does that still apply for electric scooters?
So it's funny you bring up scooters, one of my favorite topics. If you are riding a scooter and it's legal in terms of the speed, which is if you're in a jurisdiction that allows them, first of all, because Toronto has a no scooter policy. If it's a kick scooter, stand up, those have a maximum legal capacity or a speed limit of 24 kilometers an hour to be a bicycle privileged vehicle. Not in Toronto, but somewhere else. So Vaughan, you can have them, but if they're capable of going more than 24 kilometers an hour, it's no longer treated as a bicycle, which means you're now eligible for speeding tickets. E-bike, 32 kilometers an hour. So you have an e-bike that does 33 kilometers, in fact. That is now a motorcycle, not an e-bike, and it's subject to all of the speed limit laws, whereas when it's a bicycle, because it's legal and conforming, it is not eligible for speed tickets.
Somebody followed up on text here for the person who said that he was following in one car behind his wife in another car on the way to the mechanic, and he hit his wife's car. And what should he report it? Somebody just wrote in, if I hit my wife's car with my car, I wouldn't tell anybody.
No kidding.
Here is Gord. What's your question, Gord?
Oh, hello. My question is speed cameras on where there are two cars in the picture. One is speeding, one is not. Do both cars get a ticket, or neither car get a ticket, or some other situation?
So I don't know how the system works entirely because I've never been privy to being inside their systems. I can tell you that the radar systems are capable of identifying the vehicle that is the faster vehicle. And then what the other portion is, these are reviewed by people before a summons or a ticket is issued. So I imagine or have to believe that there is a clear way to identify the actual speeding vehicle.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Gord. Here's another text. This person is a TTC bus driver and asks this question. Why are cars allowed to blindly make a right turn around a bus that stopped at a bus stop? More than too many times I've seen pedestrians endangered by this foolhardy maneuver. And then in brackets writes, I've seen cops do it too.
So they can't just make a turn blindly. They're very responsible for whatever happens. If they're making the turn from the incorrect lane, they're making an improper turn. If they're able to get in front of the bus because the bus cutout is far enough behind the intersection that they can safely pass the bus, get into the appropriate turning space, and make the turn, then it's legal. So again, if the bus is right at the curb, at the corner, then there should not be a turn from that lane. If the bus is disabled, that's one of those things where an officer would make a determination whether or not it's reasonable or not. I certainly can appreciate that sometimes the bus breaks down, and that's different than what this caller or writer is asking. So improper right turn.
Well, I think oftentimes, and this question comes up many times, why don't police charge for this or that? Just because you see something happening doesn't mean it's legal or that people are allowed to do it. They just didn't get caught this time.
Well, that's usually the issue, is that there's a lot of things happening. It's not legal and no one's there to see it, which is a problem because we don't have enough police to be everywhere all the time. And one of the reasons I'm such a big fan of automated enforcement. That said, even when we do see it, every interaction cannot be responded to. Like, you could see something and you could have a prisoner on board. You could be going to a call for assistance somewhere, even if it's not lights and sirens. So just because a cop's there doesn't mean they can respond to everything.
All right, it's 10:30, so we're going to check traffic, but Sean Shapiro is going to stick around. So if you have further questions, and I've got a lot on my text board here, we'll learn more about traffic with Sean Shapiro, the TikTok former traffic cop on NewsTalk 1010. It's 10:30, NewsTalk 1010, time saver traffic.
So we're going to go to mute from there. We'll have Jerry come back in a moment. I'm going to jump back into questions, and we will see what's up. Okay. We're going to scroll back. We got Kevin said something. What is Cody Immortal talking about? I don't know what we're talking about there. Moving along. Scrolling down, we got quick question. We talked about that. Wasn't the part of the reason that they were brought? Oh, Ben says, wasn't he part of the reason they were brought in? So this is going back to the comments about Doug Ford and why is he getting rid of these cameras? when in fact he was the guy who brought in the cameras. And I believe that the mayor of Vaughan is also instrumental in bringing in the cameras in his area, but he's now the guy bringing them out because listen, there's a lot of weird stuff that's happening. People pouring booze on the floor because they're offended and elbows all over the place. I can't keep track. I'm not a politician. I don't like politics. I don't like the games that are played, which is why I don't play them. Anyway, people said, you should run for office. I'm like, for 2 seconds, I thought about that. And then I said, but then I'd have to deal with those people. I don't think I want to do that because I'd be angry. Okay. What is this? User says, and they happen to be carrying legal weapons. Well, I don't know. It's like a question out of nowhere. So it's out of context. I don't know where the last part is. By the way, we'll be joined by Jerry Agar again in a few minutes. That's why his face is on the screen if you're just tuning in. Want to call into the show? Want to text your questions? Go ahead and do it. 416-872-1010. Call or text, or you can dial 1-877-518-5151. And that is how you call toll free. But my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And we'll be joined on the radio. No, they're on the radio already. I'm in my basement. We'll be joining them on the radio again in just a moment. So I'm trying to scroll through and get a couple more questions before that happens. Long Distance Cruiser says, traffic cameras don't prove who's actually driving. Only way to know is to take a pic of him. Yes, and I think that cameras should be updated to do that because then we can add demerit points. Holding the driver accountable is better. Holding the owner accountable when they damn well know who the driver is, I think is good because the owner of the car getting the ticket should be a little ticked off and should reach out to whomever they lent that vehicle to, give them a piece of their mind. Interesting. I love that tech support's like, are you still there? They must not realize I'm live streaming, which is what their platform does. Makes no sense to me. Okay, let's see here. I'm live on the air. Yeah. Okay. Because we still seem to have some more time, and I've responded with my snarky response to tech support. We said, Lummer says speed cameras should only be used in school zones during school hours, not used anytime else. Lummer, why should they only be used in school zones in school times and not anywhere or anytime else? When speeding is illegal everywhere, all the time. And that's the only people being caught is those who choose to break the law. So why are you defending people who choose to speed? Wait, do you speed? Why do you think it's okay to speed? DJ Mills says, Sean Shapiro, you should have the biking lawyer on the show. I don't know. We've not always seen eye to eye. Usually we've gone tete-a-tete. And when I was on the job, and since leaving, listen, I've liked some of his posts. I'm not against protecting cyclists. I'm against some of the other stuff that he's talked about, which is like rolling stops and going out and trying to justify the what's it called? The Chicago, Ohio rolling baloney stop where you don't actually stop, you just roll through. Anyway, we've not always, maybe it would be an interesting episode, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Greg says, we're talking about, yes, Greg makes a good point to Lummer, who wants speed cameras to only be used during school times and school hours and school areas. Greg says people use school property other than school hours, and that's also true. Long Distance Cruiser says, I would happily drive without insurance if it wasn't mandatory. Really? From someone who has been involved in a personal collision where I was on duty on a police motorcycle. Actually, I've been in a collision in my personal vehicle. Insurance is a lifesaver. When I couldn't work, when my vehicle had $20,000 in damage, it didn't come out of my pocket. But if you didn't have insurance, it would, or you just wouldn't have a car, and anybody you hurt wouldn't be covered. No, that's ludicrous. You have to have insurance, or you can't be on the road.
You're listening to Jerry Agar on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Maybe we need Springsteen's friend who was a big baseball player. Maybe we need that guy. Time to bring that guy back for tonight's game. I'll talk about that and this story of a high school playing the national anthem on October the 7th in Arabic with Dave Trafford when he joins me for Party for Two. And that's at 11:05. And it's brought to you by Kotak Law, your long-term disability lawyers. But right now, we're doing another segment with Sean Shapiro. the TikTok former traffic cop. So whatever questions you have, we're happy to take on, get to as many as we can here. Thanks for all the texts. I've been trolling through them here, looking for some questions. Sadly, I can't get to all of them, but let's give it the old college try, Sean, as they say.
Let's do it.
All right. Can you go into the right lane to turn onto another street if that lane says only buses and bikes?
Yes. Well, bikes is different. So if it's a multi-use diamond lane, which is what I think we're talking about here, a good example of that is Dufferin. You can go into that lane to make a turn, but you can't proceed through an intersection. So you can't just use that excuse to keep driving in a lane you don't qualify to use. But if you're turning into the driveway, that is the appropriate place to enter and make the right turn from.
All right, here's a question. How do cops go about DUIs for weed/cannabis? Is smell enough? Is there a cannabis breathalyzer? Is it accurate? If so, many cases, THC stays in the body for a long time. How do you prove a person is high?
So high and content are two different things. So there is a machine that will analyze a buccal swab, which is basically a Q-tip that's rubbed in the inside of your cheek. That tests for having anything. It also tests for cocaine. And that particular device is used for zero tolerance checking. So if you're a young person who's not allowed to have anything in their system, that's going to be for you, along with any commercial truck drivers. However, if you're talking about DUI charges, driving under the influence, then that's going to be a roadside sobriety test where we actually have people who are trained, and most officers are now, to do a field sobriety test. You know, 1 foot in front of the other, look up, touch your nose, that sort of thing. And then we have an additional level. So that roadside sobriety test is to get grounds to make an arrest. And if you don't believe that there are grounds simply based on the observations that you see a guy who can't speak or stand up straight, once an arrest is made and they've taken them down to fulfill that requirements of a demand, well, we have these wonderful drug recognition experts, and they're able to put you through a bunch of tests, and based on how you perform in those tests, they can determine what family of drugs you're under the influence of.
All right, here is Henry. What's your question, sir?
I was curious about whether it's legal for people to use their cell phones while driving when they're in parking lots, like at Walmart or Home Depot or something like that.
So driving, the vehicle's in motion, but they're not on the road. And yes, it says that you have to be on the highway, and that doesn't qualify as the highway at this point. So you have to be somewhere you can be legally parked or private property. No charges can be laid if you're in the drive-thru at McDonald's, at least not in Ontario, but we've heard of people being charged elsewhere.
Do the police have authority in private parking lots?
They have authority, but it depends on which act they're enforcing. So careless driving, that is applicable on private property now. So is stunt drivings. But if you are talking about stop sign enforcement, speed enforcement, if you're talking about cell phone use, not on private property. So it depends on what authority they're utilizing.
So, Henry, if you're in your parking lot and you pick your phone up to call home and say, what was I supposed to buy? I guess you can get away with that.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
The real question is, with all this technology and Bluetooth and automated texting, why does anyone have to touch their phone at all?
Well, I guess that's a question we should ask ourselves when we're driving. By text message, someone asks, I get people on the Gardner all the time who try to force their way in front of my truck, and then they honk at me for not letting them in. Who's wrong?
Well, you can't block someone. That's actually stunt driving. Even if it's happening at slow speed, if you're actively working to prevent someone from changing lanes, it's different than if you are, simply not making space for them. So you don't have to give them space. You own that lane. But if you're accelerating to block them, now you're in a trouble situation.
I've had that happen to me. I put my signal light on, I begin to turn, and the person, let's say I'm going to go from the right lane into the left lane, and the person in the left lane speeds up so that I can't get in.
Well, they really have to be first on race day. Like, they don't get the fact that we're all getting there relatively the same time, and the zipper merge is what's supposed to happen. I have a lot of cameras on my car, so let them do that, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, but it seems we have to deal with this quite a bit, but it's because it's become almost an epidemic in traffic. Somebody asks, is lane splitting now legal for motorcycles? I see it all the time.
Absolutely not. It's not legal anywhere in Canada, and in the majority of the United States, it's not legal either. Only 5 states allow lane splitting. That's where you're driving through moving traffic. It's dangerous, so you could be charged with careless as an easy starter. You can get stunt, or you could even be criminal dangerous driving if it was really excessive speed and behavior that was criminal in nature. Like, you ought to know that it was going to be something that could lead to harm.
I'm an enthusiastic biker, and I would be afraid to do it.
I've seen people do things that I want to get their heads checked because there's nothing sane about it. Whereas I've done things as a police motorcycle operator, driving through traffic for enforcement, looking for people on cell phones, low speed, walking speed in traffic to see what people are doing in their cars. I can articulate why that's safer than what I'm seeing these riders do, and it's wild.
No, I'm seeing it out on the Gardner all the time.
100%.
Yeah. Here is Dan. What's your question?
Electric mopeds or scooters, you see them in the bike lanes and these Uber Eats people whipping around at 40, 50 kilometers on them. They don't require insurance or a plate. I want to know, can I get a similarly sized, like 50cc, a gas-powered one does require that. Why is that?
Well, actually, what you've described, doing 40 or 50, is absolutely illegal. Those are motorcycles at that point and should have license ownership and insurance, because they fall out of the category of e-bike if they're capable of going more than 32 kilometers an hour on a flat surface, or in the situation of a kick scooter, more than 24 kilometers an hour. So when I see e-bikes that are doing 60 and 70 kilometers an hour, and I see them all the time, those are absolutely prohibited. Because not only are they motorcycles, they don't have a safety check. They don't have a VIN, which is being issued, and what's called Transport Canada hasn't approved them for the road in that configuration.
The letter. Yeah, I could hear you, and I accept all that. But we all know in common practice, I'm on my motorcycle or my car doing 35, 40, and they're whipping by me. We all know in practice that's not being enforced. If you're in down
it is being enforced. However, it's not enforceable in every situation, because a police officer has to catch them and verify that they are in fact what they think they are. So if they measure their speed, they can qualify them for court as being a motorcycle. Now, in Europe, I saw the most amazing device. It is basically a little dynamometer, a portable treadmill of sorts for e-bikes to qualify them, because police officers can check them and test them. So in Europe, I think it's Denmark, they're actually taking this portable device on and testing bikes, charging and confiscating the ones that have been modified.
Thanks, Dan, for your question. Appreciate it. That was another example there, too, of he hasn't seen somebody pulled over, so therefore the police aren't doing it. And that's, I think he would agree that's unfair. He sounds like a reasonable guy. You had mentioned, using Bluetooth, etc. So somebody wrote in, tell Sean Shapiro, not everybody drives a newer model, up-to-date car with all the fancy technology.
$20 on Prime days, you can get yourself a Bluetooth headset. I've had a Bluetooth headset for probably the last 15 or more years. It's got to be more than 20 years. There's no excuse. And you don't need to, just as long as you mount that phone, there's a speakerphone mode in the phone. And when my cable broke, or I had linked in the charging port, I had to use that, even though I have CarPlay in my truck. So there's no excuse.
All right. Are U-turns at intersections legal?
I wonder if that's Lydia who asked, because I've got it on my screen too. U-turns at intersections are not expressly prohibited unless there's a sign posted. If there's a left turn lane, it could be legal. Here's the deal with U-turns. If it's safe to do so, if it's not prohibited by sign, then it's generally legal. But you can't do it on a red light, which I see way too often. I don't understand where people get the idea that they can get into that intersection on a red light to U-turn.
All right. So where can people find you? Because we can never get to all the questions here, but you're available pretty much every day.
You can get me anytime. Askatrafficcop.ca is the website, and all my social media platforms. I'll take questions and I try and answer everybody.
All right. Askatrafficcop.ca.
You got it.
Sean Shapiro, thanks very much.
Always a pleasure. I can't even speak anymore. Always a pleasure, Jerry. Take care.
Yeah, it sounded like one of the Merry Melody characters there for a second. That's a pleasure. Coming up, condo developers cancel.
Oh, too much fun. You know what? I love going onto the show, and sometimes I don't stumble on my words. Okay, let's get back to your questions. Boom, boom, boom. What do we got here? DJ Mills wants to know if I'm related to Ben Shapiro. No, I don't think. I mean, it's all. Aren't we all related to everybody? Aren't we all cousins of some kind? But I don't know. And if we are related, I'm not aware of it. Okay. Uh, Christina, you're very welcome. I got a message from Christina. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Scrolling back. And as soon as I catch up to where I am, we'll continue down the list of stuff and things. My name is Sean Shapiro. You just heard me on Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. That is a show I love joining because he's a lot of fun. Which reminds me, I got to go for lunch. We haven't had lunch in a while. Okay. Mind you, I've been so busy. I got no time for lunch. Just ask Akela Draconis, who's even close by, and I can't visit him because I got stuff going on. Okay, we got dad jokes from Akela, which I can't put on screen because the texty text stuff isn't working today, but I will read them. All right, let's get into someone wants to know about home self-defense, things of that nature. Let's see what it says. Finding that getting a court summons for no front plate or it to be dropped, Toronto cops are top tier. Summons, this is Chill F82. So if you got a summons for no front plate means you are a frequent flyer and they're tired of giving you tickets and you treating them like the front plate is a subscription ticket. You are required to have one. And if you don't have one, you should be convicted. And if you are going to court and they're not doing a good job at articulating just how bad you are as a driver and follower of the law, that you need to have a summons issued, they shouldn't be dropping it. It's irresponsible of the courts to be doing that. That is something that if there's a track record that you are a habitual violator, you refuse to follow the law, what JP would allow you to do that? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something, I don't know. Maybe there's some technical issues. Maybe it got dropped because of there's service issues or some kind of problem in the court process. And maybe it wasn't that they thought you're just a really nice guy who deserves yet another chance. But if you have like 20, even if you have three front plate tickets and you just paid them, and now you're getting your fourth one, you deserve to go to court. And you should go to court every single time. Maybe losing a day's pay to go to court might change your ways. Maybe. Big Mark D says, hello, Canada. Hello, Big Mark D. And Canada says hello back. User wants to know how an officer goes about legal firearms in vehicle during a traffic stop related to something else such as speed. It's no big deal. You're a legal firearms owner. The firearm doesn't really come into play. We can check to see if you have the proper licenses to have them. And we usually check that as part of routine business, but not a big deal. Firearms users are lawful despite the way that current government seems to be treating them. Okay, let's see here. Oh, yeah, and someone says, got to be secure in the trunk. Yeah, in the event that you have a firearm in plain view, license or not, you are a problem, and then you're going to be arrested. That's different because you're not following the rules. But if you're transporting them as per law, it's not an issue. Are radar detectors illegal in Alberta? And what are your thoughts on radar detectors? Stephen, that's a great question. Alberta, I believe they do allow, Alberta allows them. And because my buddy in Brooks talks about them all the time. Brooks, Alberta, shout out to my Lyran's buddy out there. I miss him. I haven't seen him in a while. And then you want to know my thoughts on detectors? I think they're ludicrous, ridiculous, should not be legal anywhere, should not be manufactured anywhere. A device that specifically works against traffic safety because it allows you to drive unlawfully. It allows you to drive in such a way that you are breaking the law. Why does it do that? Because it notifies you when a police officer utilizing radar is there, thus telling you to slow down so you don't get caught. Yeah, it's terrible. They're garbage. Now, the nice thing in Ontario is that we have the search and seizure authority. If we see a vehicle and believe that it has radar detector on board, we can search and seize said radar detector. Yeah, and there's a $170 ticket and I think 3 demerit points. Okay. So somebody says that's false. I don't have to put it in the trunk. If you have a non-restricted firearm, you don't have to have it in the trunk. If you're talking about a restricted firearm, then it has very specific storage requirements. So he's not wrong and you're not wrong. It depends on what you're talking about. So everyone be nice. Okay. What do we got here? Early resolution. Okay. Okay, somebody reduced your ticket. This is for, okay, let me scroll back a little bit more. Will my car get impounded if I do 150 on the 407? If you get charged for 150 on the 407, yes, because it's 40 over in an area that has a speed limit under 80. It is 50 over in a speed limit 80 and above. However, it's 150 anywhere, and that was revised. It wasn't originally written that way. And user says yes and confirms that. So thank you for jumping in, because since we're so far behind in the chat. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And you're watching, and you should be subscribing, because this is a channel that allows you to know stuff and things. Now, I have not been producing content at the rate that I usually do. I'm not doing lives at the rate that I usually do. And for that, I am sorry. However, I got to work. And that means that this has taken a backseat from where I used to do it full time. I'd love to get to the point where I can do it full time again. But I've got some amazing stuff that I'm working on that will be beneficial to many, many people. So I'm excited about these projects with Better Traffic. And if you want to know more about Better Traffic, it's bettertraffic.ca. You can also go to askatrafficcop.ca. Stuff and things that will hopefully make the world a better place. Oh, yeah. Okay. Scrolling back. Melvin says, turn with signal light on. Happened to me. Was signal to turn at next road 20 foot from the driveway. Melvin, I'm not following. You were the person who called in? And maybe you tell me more. Okay. Andre and Chase says, so here's my beef as a person with a disability. I have spina bifida affecting my bladder and bowels. So I decided to get a mobility device that allows me to stand, but people want me to get off. Okay, so you're using a mobility device that allows you to stand because it's more comfortable for you. What's the beef? They want you to get off the sidewalk? If it's a mobility device, I'm sure they have legal mobility devices. If you're talking about a scooter, the scooter's not a mobility device. It's a scooter, which is a different designation. So mobility devices usually are seated, but I'm sure they have modified versions that allow you to stand. I'd love to know what device it is. We can look it up. Isaac, I think it's Isaac or Isaac or Isaac. I have one question. If my car broke down on the highway, can I request my own tow truck? Yes and no. If you can get the vehicle off the road into a safe place, then you can request your own tow truck. However, in the event that you have a police officer directing you to get it off the road for your safety or the safety of others, then you must take the tow truck as designated by the police officer. And if you have a CAA of that, something of that nature, you can request that they come by and so that they reimburse you, and they will reimburse you. And Boy Mom 8424 and Tracy jumped on that. Absolutely. Greg Marshall says, apparently it's because his daughter keeps getting tickets. Oh, I don't know which one we're referring to, but yeah, it's difficult. Oh, really? Greg Marshall says that I'm assuming you're saying that Doug Ford, it's his daughter who keeps getting automated enforcement tickets. Wouldn't that be that would be disgusting. If that's the reason he's scrapping safety for everyone in the province because of his own personal, anyway, I hope that's not true. That would be shameful. If it is true, it is shameful. Only Savagery says, politics in summary is wolves in sheep's clothing. It's money and votes, nothing more. It sounds pretty accurate. Okay. Greg, you effectively made milk come out of Tracy's nose because she's laughing on that one. Okay. Yes. Only Savagery, removed by popular opinion. And it's not popular opinion. It's the opinion of those getting tickets, the violators. Yeah, terrible. Super slow. Are you allowed to have color tints that follow the 70 VLT? Yes. So could you have pink tinted windows? Yes, as long as you are legal in terms of the amount of light being transmitted. There's no restriction as to what color. The only thing you can't have are reflective. You cannot prevent someone from seeing the inside of the vehicle. Got Mullet says, I'm okay with speeding cameras as long as they are somewhere else and not where I drive. I oddly enough hear a lot of people who make claims or statements of that nature. Super Slow 4 says, I feel that police enforcement is better than cameras in school zones. Police enforcement is better, period. But it's not available everywhere all the time, and that's the problem. So Really? Only Savagery says that in New Zealand, automobile insurance is optional. Wow. It used to be optional in many states, but you're not allowed to enter the country with a car without insurance. Now, I've not seen anyone I've never entered the country in a vehicle from outside and been asked to provide proof of insurance. So I wonder how that's done. But legally, you can't enter the country. You couldn't drive from the States back when it was optional and legally enter Canada. Okay. Most common ways. Oh, only Savagery says most common ways to find DOA is not lane control as most people think. It's generally speed control. Yeah. Tinsdale says you can totally articulate careless driving in a parking lot while using a cell phone, undue care and contention. Yeah, I'm sure you could, but the charge wouldn't be the distracted, which is where I was going. So I like your angle on that, Tinsdale. In BC, accelerating to block would be considered unsafe rolling roadblock. Interesting. Okay. Jerry Morris says, we have someone in KW on a stand-up scooter going down the expressway, keeping up with traffic. I have the same video or a similar video in Toronto where someone is on a unicycle, an electric unicycle, totally prohibited anywhere in the province of Ontario. And yeah, they were just keeping up with traffic. Ridiculous. Yeah. Those vehicles need to be stopped on entry to Canada. There's nobody who should be making that garbage because people are just misusing it. We're giving people tools and saying, don't do this thing like don't do this thing that looks really like. I have video of it was a TikTok video, and it was a guy keeping up with a rail car, like a Via Rail in Europe, and the guy was on a one wheel just leaning into it. What about reaching over to adjust navigation while the phone is mounted? You cannot interact with the phone except to hang up or pick up. And that's it. Can't touch the phone except for those two purposes. You can look at a phone that has your cell phone that your navigation is set to, but you can't configure it. Gizzy wants to know if you can drive on the highway with a G2, and the answer is yes. G2 basically gives you the same privileges as a G, except the alcohol and the in the first 6 months and second 6 months of having a G2, you have limitations as to how many passengers you can have in the vehicle after midnight. Is it midnight to 5 a.m.? Haven't talked about that in a while. AJ Max wants to know about lane splitting. We talked about that when we were on the air with Jerry Agar, and the answer is no, you're not allowed to lane split. Cloud or not, how come most, if not all, traffic cops are bald? Aerodynamics. It's all about getting good fuel mileage. I think the gas shock in my chair needs to be replaced because I get slowly low and low. Anyway. Okay. So, Gizzy says, what's another question? So, what is the need for a full G? It doesn't expire because the G2 requires constant retesting. That's the biggest thing. Cloud or not says, is it true if a cop is bald, it's an automatic ticket on a stop? I think the brush cut is the automatic, and the bald cop is one who has lots of experience and probably his own stress in his life. Is probably going to give you a break, but it's not an automatic though. But I love the question. Okay, let's see what's going on. What do we got here? What do we got? Are aftermarket downpipes illegal if they still have a cat? It has to have a muffler. So aftermarket pipes, when you say downpipe, I don't know if they're saying that it just has a tip on the end that points it down. Depends on where it's dumping, and it has to have a muffler. So yeah, after the cat, that still leaves a lot of pipe to deal with. Somewhere has to be a muffler and a resonator. It can't just dump to the ground. Legalize the 5-point harnesses. They're not illegal, but the ones you buy on Amazon that aren't rated are illegal. And if it was from the factory with a 5-point, you can have it. You just can't put your own one in and replace the factory. Like, you can't take out the factory. The factory one is what's regulated. That's what you have to have when you're on the road. Can an MTO officer pull you over for speeding? They can. Their policies have them not doing it, but they can absolutely pull you over. Lights and sirens, they got them. It's Positivity Troll says, if no one told you today, your passion flows like a river, carving hope. Keep sharing. Well, thank you. What do we got here? Melvin Sir says, MTO have jurisdiction over anything transportation. Yes. But their policies say they don't do it, but it doesn't mean they can't. Okay. Oh. So Only Savagery says, I get why a radar detector is illegal, but what if it's a device using image and AI to spot police? That's interesting. Technically, and the way the law is written, if you open up the HTA, is anything that prevents police from conducting enforcement. Now, that doesn't. What you're talking about is, well, let's read the actual word. Let's see the words on the page. So I think the wording is interfering with enforcement. Where's my hot link for this? Oh, there it is. Scrolling. Highway Traffic Act. Radar. So it says here, drive motor vehicle with speed measuring warning device. So that's just because you see a police car doesn't mean they're actually employing a speed measuring device. So just notifying people where police are isn't a violation. That's my interpretation of what I just read. No person shall drive on a highway a motor vehicle that is equipped with or that carries or contains a speed measuring warning device. So if it was identifying specifically speed measurement devices, then or if it was interfering with them, because if it interferes with it, but yeah, just notifying that it sees a police officer, no, that wouldn't be an issue. What else we got here? Waze, absolutely. Greg Marshall says Waze tells you where the cops are. AJ Max says, can you repeat the websites? It's askatrafficcop.ca, and you can also go to or bettertraffic.ca. Vintage Victoria says, love your content. Your voice is so absolutely suited to social media. Thank you very much, Vintage Victoria. And Tracy, you're most correct in that I'm way behind in these questions. But I am coming to the end, and I'll read some dad jokes. And then I've got a buddy of mine who needs some tech support while he's waiting to go to Dubai. So I've got to call him up and help him out. Okay. Angelina says, turn off the backup camera. ¿Por qué? Why? Oh. When you're doing your G2 test, can you use the backup camera in the car? I've heard different things. You can't rely on it entirely. You can glance at it. Doesn't have to be covered. I've heard of testers covering it with their clipboard. You should know how to do a shoulder check. You should not rely on backup cameras. In fact, I have a faulty wire in mine, and I have a full-size truck. And I really like the fact that I can see the bumper, and I know exactly how many inches I am to the wall as I'm backing up. However, I've had to remember that I can get my butt off the seat and rotate to look out the back of my truck to get a clear picture as well. More work, same difference. I can drive without my camera. And when it works, I use the camera. And when it doesn't work, I use my eyes or my rear window. Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay. Old Savagery says, retired means do what you want when you want to. No apologies necessary. Well, I'm not exactly retired in that regard. Like I still work. I've launched a couple of companies. I'm busy like crazy. I work more now than I have ever worked. However, it's a lot of fun. And it's very flexible because I can do what I want, say what I want, and eat what I want. And yeah, you know what I'm saying. Okay. Okay, Chill F82 says, any sort of driver's assistance, they will ask you to turn it off. At least that's what happened in their case. Bridge Canada, thanks for the follow. Sam, also appreciate the follow. What are your thoughts on tow truck violence? And this is the account is called Tow Wars. Well, obviously, criminal activity, which is what we're seeing. People lighting up fires. I had a friend who moved because his neighbor kept getting his house shot up. It's not okay. This tow violence has got to end. And maybe there should be no private tow companies anymore. If we can't play nice in the sandbox, maybe, it has to be like the United States or like the NYPD, where tow trucks are primarily NYPD. Mind you, those are the ones, taking cars and in situations where they're being taken out of the road. Maybe they still have private property or private tows. But how do we stop people from gun violence and criminal fire starting? Well, when are you starting fires on a vehicle that's where it's not criminal? It is not okay. Dalton says catless downpipe and valved muffler, totally illegal. Not even if you're using a bypass switch and hiding it, just having that in there is not legal. Can small car tow a trailer? It can tow up to the maximum that's permitted based on the rating and so on. And Greg Marshall quite appropriately says, check your manual. And Vintage Victoria says, any car can tow a trailer so long as the weight restrictions are followed. Yes. Sathu S12 says, after a DUI, how long after do you regain your license after trials are done? We got so much to unpack there. You're going to get a suspension when you are, it's a 90-day suspension after you're charged. That's got nothing to do with the conviction. When you're convicted, it depends on what the conviction states. It could be a number of things. They could do what they want. What do we got here? Holly Up says, LOL, yes voice. I thank you, I think. Katrina Faber followed the host. Thank you. Is that the HTA? Are we talking about towing? Yeah. If you check your rating, you can. It'll tell you what it'll check your license and your rating, because the two things have to be the appropriate. So you can't tow something that's unsafe for your vehicle. If your vehicle is an itty bitty car, you can have an itty bitty trailer. Motorcycles can tow trailers, but it's all based on the maximum capacity and what can be safely towed and stopped. Stopped is most important. Ontario, you can pass in a double yellow line, but Quebec you can't. If you get ticks in Quebec, will the dollars and points transfer? Yes. If you break the law in the jurisdiction that you're in, and it's in Canada, it absolutely transfers. Only Savagery says, personally, I think that secondary DUI charge should be a lifetime automatic ban. Here's the problem with any kind of prohibition. The drunks, the people who are truly a problem, the people who are breaking all sorts of laws, who have no licenses, they're still driving. They don't care. You can't stop the people who don't respect the law. Amir Salar says, if you can get stunt driving on private property, how do motorsport tracks work? Great question. There's exemptions, like Honda Indy, which was on the highway, it was on the road. The Indy events are exempt, racetracks are exempt. If you read the actual Highway Traffic Act, in not just the HTA, but the Ontario sections, what is it called? Come on, I'm drawing a blank. What is it called? Regulations. The regulations set forth, like, above ground, below ground parking lots are enforceable, but racetracks and ticketed or approved events are not, and even go-kart tracks are listed as not covered under stunt driving. And Only Savagery says, lots of liability insurance and emergency services. There's obviously conditions. Do you know that Honda Indy, or the Ontario Honda Dealers Indy, I mean, they have a medical suite, a full functioning hospital on site, because of the reality that collisions, they can get bad and people can get seriously injured. And there was after there was one driver who I believe died at an event, everything changed. They also have tons of police, uniform and non, at those events. And City of Toronto used to do the Honda Indy up until, well, finished this year. Next year, I believe, is at the Markham, a Markham location. So that's kind of cool. A change. Okay. Scrolling through, what's my time like? An hour and 7 minutes. We'll go for a few more. I'm scrolling. We have, I cannot make out your name, but they have their G test on Friday. Kuth, I'm not going to embarrass myself with trying to pronounce your name. I have my G test on Friday is the message, and congratulations and good luck all at the same time. Get good sleep and chill. You know what you're doing. G test means you'll be driving for a long time, and you have got this. There you go. How is an aftermarket valve muffler illegal when nearly every modern sports car comes valved? Because your vehicle cannot be modified that way. 1, 2, the valve mufflers don't dump and bypass the muffler. They change the way it sounds, but if they're truly dumping and bypassing their muffler, that's not legal. If it's track mode, it's only legal on track, but that's not what we're seeing in most cases. So I'm not a mechanic, but I can tell you that the law says you can't have that installed. Yes, I was 5 minutes behind. That's before we went on the air with Jerry. Okay, says I got a 5-point ticket in Quebec and it did not transfer to my BC license. Interesting. Good for you. It may have been a time thing. I don't know. They only last for 2 years from the date of from the date of the offense. So if it was 5 points and it took 2 years plus a day to get the conviction registered, it wouldn't have been applied. What is this? Interesting. Okay. Scrolling. Do you know anything about impound? If you can get the price lowered anyway, if you know about that? No, I don't know about how you could possibly get it lowered. I don't believe you can. And Sherry, thanks for the gift. I believe that it's a non-negotiable. First of all, that's a private company who's doing that. That's their rates. Their approved rates when it's an impound lot. Bus question from radio. What if the bus has four ways or right signal on? Can you go around safe? It all depends, Cajun. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It all depends. Because if I was an officer who saw you do it, and I thought it was an unsafe maneuver, and it was while they were loading or unloading passengers, I would possibly charge you for unsafe turn or improper turn. Because you're just being impatient, not waiting behind the bus. If the bus had its four ways on, I could articulate why. I mean, I've done it. It's reasonable, and if it's reasonable, you might not get a ticket. But then again, if it's reasonable, you probably won't get pulled over. I'm currently a new RCMP Mountie, 1 year service, and I'm currently on ODS for mental leave. Advise. Brandon, probably better to DM me if you want to chat about that. Sorry to hear that you're having a tough time. Policing it can be traumatic. It affects many of my friends. It's affected me. It changes us. You see things that nobody else is supposed to see. No human was built to see what we see. However, we still do the job, and there's nothing wrong with going through your stuff. So take care of yourself, and if you need anything, reach out to me in the DMs. Let's see here. Oh, Only Savagery says, about exhaust noise, you can get a bylaw ticket offense costing more than the violation traffic ticket. Absolutely. In the city of Toronto, it's a $500 offense for unnecessary noise, or if your idle is above 92 decibels at idle, if your exhaust note is over 92 decibels at idle, or if your exhaust note is over 96 decibels at anything other than idle. So yeah, you can get a $500 ticket for either of those. I don't know about the $15,000 fine. Where is that? Oh, it's in VPD. Victoria Police has done a $15,000 ticket. Holy moly. Oh gosh. Okay. Kodak Drewski says I look like Paul Blart, and has an emoji pointing his finger like a 2-year-old. So I'm guessing he's trying to be offensive. He doesn't realize that I was a traffic cop, and thus I have no feelings. Okay. I'm going to go. Oh, and Only Savagery. Guys, you got to send me DMs. If you're on the job or current or former, just send me a message so I can follow you back. Okay. Let's see what we got here. We got some dad jokes, and then we're going to rap. We're not going to rap like make a song. We're just going to rap the show. Dad joke. My wife left me because I'm insecure. No, wait. She's back. She just went to get a coffee. That was funny. That was loud and funny. Okay. Actually, I really like that one. Incurable Collector, good morning. I just saw you now. You got stuck. My chat box wasn't working today, so it is what it is. I'm now catching up. I thought you were a dad joke and you were saying hello. Why is it hard to be a bus driver? Everyone's always talking behind your back. Dad joke. I just checked my homeowner's insurance policy. It turns out that if my blanket is stolen in the middle of the night, I'm not covered. I like that too. How warm is a baby at birth? Womb temperature. I like that a lot. Quote, we are all born ignorant, but one must work hard to remain stupid. That's a Ben Franklin quote, apparently. That wasn't a joke. I don't know why I did that. Okay. We've got Charlie Live TV says, your show is fantastic, incredibly informative and entertaining. Thank you, Charlie Live TV. He says, or they say, I read recently an article about thousands of dollars of fines from defense offices getting into automated. Really? I don't know about that. I'd like to see the article. Please send me. I'd love to read more about it. Where is the main live stream chat? Okay. So TikTok has been where I've been getting most of my chat. Normally, I have a Restream is in play, and it takes all of the chat and puts it into one window so I can respond to it more timely. And sadly, today I did not have that. So apologies to those in the YouTube chat that didn't get attention. I also didn't see any of the LinkedIn chat. I didn't bother opening it, and I didn't see any of the X chat. So hopefully I'll continue with chatting with tech support now and get it fixed for next week. We have here, I heard something on TikTok. Life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid. That's awesome. Okay. Do they boot people for parking offenses in Toronto, or do you guys just tow them? It's a tow. That's from Storm Gaming Design. We don't have a boot. We'd be booting every other car, I think. Would you ever make a Discord server for traffic related questions and content? I think this would be a good idea if you get the word out. Lots of people use Discord. So I actually have a Discord server that is inactive. Maybe we need to get it going again. Storm Games and Vlogs, maybe reach out to me. Maybe we can do something. Because I've got so much on my plate. Maybe you can help me. Just saying. Stay safe and remember, don't have a good day, have a great day. That is a message from Akela Draconis. And Storm Games and Vlogs has one more joke. How did the chicken cross the road? In a KFC bucket. Okay, I am so out of here. Listen, I've had a blast. I always do. I love doing this. I love helping folks with their traffic and police questions, and it's even better when I get to talk about it on the magical Jerry Agar show on NewsTalk 1010. So if you've got stuff and things you want to talk about, you can go to Ask a Traffic Cop, send me a message on any of my social media platforms, and DM me or voiceovercop at Gmail, or just reach out, say, hey, what's up? Listen, I'll be back Tuesday night for Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark, where you can be on the show. You can actually be a guest on screen on, and it's a totally new thing that I've been doing. So reach out, let me know what's up, and we'll do that then. Let me see what we got here. Greg Marshall says, have a great day. Does most police officers support jail, not bail, that the conservatives tried to put in place? Yeah, I think every police officer everywhere wants bad guys in jail, not hurting people. Yeah, there's no question. I mean, there are people who support the Liberal Party that are police officers, more so now than when I started, because when I started, there was only blue in the blue, like blue party, blue police were blue. They all supported the law and order kind of thing. Now things have changed. Everyone can be a cop, but at the end of the day, cops can. How can a cop support letting bad guys and girls and people out to victimize other people, not being held accountable? The person who murdered my friend had a rap sheet longer than my arm. He'd been everything under the sun. And if jail not bail was in play, maybe my friend would still be here. Just saying. I'm out of here. Have a good day. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, because I know that Aaron will come after you. Aaron Urquhart is on Twitter and TikTok. She's a parking enforcement officer.